irrelevant and insignificant if the upper body's not correctly integrated with the feet to even have a chance at rooting to the ground. So what happens with the rope, especially the sneak, underhand sneak in particular, because overhand patterns, which you're probably doing because they're sort of more familiar, right? Overhand patterns, they are sort of this horizontal where you're learning how to project your force out and then create a recoil with your tendons and fascia that boom, that moves your entire mass very fluidly without effort. Now, the underhand patterns correspond to the vertical.
I'm Michael Max, and this is Neurological, the podcast that curates East Asian medicine and methods through the power of conversation. You can't supplement your way out of a situation where something needs to be taken away. Adding in more to cope with the problems of being overextended, it won't help. It's rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic as a TikTok skit. I'm not sure if it's my constitution, personality, or influences of our culture that have me leaning on the idea that there's something that can be added to relieve a problem. So easy to fall for the old, if I add this, then I'll get that, which is how bottles full of unswallowed supplements take up space on the shelf, and there's piles of unread books full of good intention to read. Us Americans, we are do-something kinds of people, which can leave one ragged and weary with the one more thing that's supposedly going to help. We know this from Chinese medicine. There are conditions of deficiency, and for sure, those need supplementation. But the conditions of excess, it is the skillful paring away of what's obstructive that gives rise to better function and more efficient activity. In some ways, supplementing a deficiency is easier. It's more clear what's missing and what needs to be added. But whittle away that which is too much? Well, think about the last time you decided to go through your collection of books and see which needed to go so that you could move the most recent acquisitions from the floor onto the shelf. It's tricky. Most things present in our lives had a good reason for being there. But getting clear on if it still belongs in this moment, that takes some time and discernment. This is where I think it helps to watch and follow nature. The exuberant summer naturally flows into the withering and retreat of fall. The joy of building, creating, and flourishing needs the tempering of taking in the harvest of that time, storing what's essential, and letting fall away that which is no longer needed. It's not possible to do this without some sadness and grief. But those feelings always create the much-needed space for another cycle of generative creation. The emptiness, it brings its own kind of nourishment and perspective. I know it sounds simple, and in some ways it's cliche, because we talk about it all the time in East Asian medicine. But it's worth repeating. Tong shi bu tong, bu tong shi tong. Pain is when there's no flow, and when there's no pain, then there's open flow. We often speak of flow, and how when our mind, body, and spirit is free of obstruction, then there's ease, movement, and the natural unfoldment of the 10,000 things within us. Movement is essential. Flow is our natural state. But like pretty much everything else here on the mud ball, it needs some cultivation. Chinese medicine is well known for its ancient movement practices. Recently, I stumbled across something on the internet that got my attention because it looked like Tai Chi, but it was faster. And what's more, there's a visible aspect to what is usually hidden in the slow wave of cloud hands. It's called rope flow, and a quick search on the internet will reveal a whole ecosystem of people sharing or teaching this practice. In this conversation, we speak with the granddaddy of rope flow, the innovative and prone to wild experimentation, David Weck. He's a cross between a gym rat, fitness guy, mad scientist, and enthusiastic 9-year-old in an adult's body. Rope flow is cool stuff, and it's fun. And David Weck? A bit of a force of nature. This is going to be fun and a bit of a wild ride as we drag and roll with the master. Buckle up. These conversations come to you through the generous support of our sponsors and members. Blue Poppy, your new one-stop shop, has speedy shipping options on everything that you need for your clinic. It's Women's Health Month at Mayway Herbs. Check out their new website for learning resources on helping women with herbal medicine. Are you a creature of habit? How about making a change that helps your patients and the planet with AccuFast needles? And later in the show, raising your fees doesn't have to be a difficult process. Jane has helpful suggestions on making it easy and effective. And finally, have you considered that having a thriving, profitable practice is one of the most healing things that you can do? Julie Bear Don't Walk has, and she can help you do something about it too. Do be sure to visit the sponsors page on the Qiological website to take advantage of all the special offers our terrific sponsors have for listeners of the podcast. Picture this. Your clinic is buzzing with patients, and then you realize that you're down to your last box of needles. No need for panic, because Blue Poppy, your one-stop shop for all your acupuncture needs, they ship orders received before 3 p.m. on the same day. With a quick visit to Blue Poppy's website, you can order premium needles, herbal formulas, and that special Dr. Bob's oil that your patients love. Blue Poppy understands practitioners can't keep patients waiting. That's why they strive to get you what you need when you need it. From high-quality Chinese herbs and formulations to acupuncture supplies and clinical essentials, Blue Poppy has served practitioners for nearly 40 years with products that meet the highest of standards. Discover everything Blue Poppy has to offer by visiting www.bluepoppy.com, and don't forget to subscribe to their mailing list for exclusive offers and more.
Hi folks, I'm Yvonne Lau, president of Mayway Herbs. May is Women's Health Month, and as a women-owned and women-run business, we especially love how Chinese medicine can support wellness through every stage of a woman's life. So in this month's newsletter and podcast, we're covering topics like PMS, pregnancy, menopause, and osteoporosis. We'll share expert insights and effective treatment strategies you can put to good use in your clinic. Our Plumflower brand line includes herbal tea pills, tablets, extract granules, and organic herbs, all of which you can find on Mayway.com. And where you can also find articles, videos, and other resources to support your practice. Since 1969, Mayway has been a trusted source for high-quality herbal products. In these challenging times, please know that we remain committed to keeping our products accessible and affordable so you can take care of yourself and your patients. As always, thank you for supporting Real Chinese Medicine.
Daily habits and routines feel comforting, familiar, easy, automatic. That's the power of repetition. You've worked out the kinks and can do it with your eyes closed. But what if you shook things up? What if you ditched the old routine and tried something new? Hi, I'm John Sten. I've practiced acupuncture for over 30 years, and together with my wife Kelly, we created the world's first eco-friendly acupuncture needle. The AccuFast earth-friendly needle system cuts your packaging waste by 60 to 90%, depending upon your needle type, speeds up your needling, gives you more control, and best of all, while you're healing patients, we plant a tree for every 2 boxes your clinic uses. Thousands of acupuncturists have already made the switch. In just the last year, they've helped plant over 16,000 trees. Since we started, that number has grown to over 50,000. So break the routine. Be the change. Visit AccuFastNeedles.com. Your patients and the planet will thank you.
Dave Weck, welcome to Qiological.
Thank you. There's going to be an episode for a lot of people who want to go deeper into the Eastern understanding of yin yang and the Tao that, if spoken of, is not the Tao.
That's what we're here for, man. Hey, people can't see this because this is audio, but you and I have video. It's just a little feature of the recording software, just for our convenience. And you're wearing a T-shirt and it says, "What if?" And oh man, I love that because, I mean, I think back to like my 7 or 8-year-old self. I'm always asking, what if, like running around, exploring the world. We're going to get into that in a second. But I want to start with this thing that I found about a year ago. I found it on the internet. Imagine that. It was on the internet. It's this thing called flow rope. And I looked at this and I thought, oh my God, this looks like Tai Chi at speed. It looks like silk reeling Qigong on steroids. It's like Gong Fu stick practice without the stick. And I'm watching the person doing this, and it's like they're trying to do jump rope, but they can't figure it out. It's going over their damn head, not under their feet. And it just looked like the fun that a 7 or 8-year-old would have, just swinging around a damn rope, because, why not? That feels good.
Bingo.
So I got this flow rope thing, and I started doing it. And first of all, it's a little harder than it looks. And secondly, it is really fun. And there's a bunch of videos on the internet, and one of them videos led back to you.
Yeah, 2004 is when I created it, and it was as simple as, I'm going to train with the rope and I'm going to get amazing with a rope, but I'm not going to jump through it. And what this is a principle that my training, what I am interested in doing, is building everything on the fight and the flight response ability. All right. My ability to do something appropriate immediately upon threat or opportunity. And I want to seize the moment to survive or eat tonight. Like, these are the fundamentals. Okay. And the antecedent to what if is why. I mean, the curious kid is just going to drill down with why, right? Daddy, why is there this? Because of that. Okay, why? And you just keep going. So what if is the departure point, the springboard, the launch pad coming off of why? All right, that's why. All right, well, what if? Start with the list that has no restrictions. It's a wish list. It's your imagination. Then pare it back to reality. See if something from outside of reality actually is reality, and come up with something new and useful, right? And so what rope flow is it's a weaponization of the tool. I'm not some dancing guy with a hat sitting there trying to impress you with my jump rope skills. What the hell is jumping through the rope? Where is the utility from a survival standpoint if I'm going to jump through the rope? I want to get something done with a tool that happens to be my teacher, because first of all, it's honest, it never lies, and it's giving you moment by moment feedback. And the stick is the same but different. The rope keeps a continuity and a fluidity that you take on the quality of the tool. And 4 fundamental patterns, and you got the Bagwashan, right? You get the Tai Chi, or the roads into these things, okay? And the Shin Yi. Because what you realize is that the Shin Yi, here it is, the 3 internal Chinese martial arts as they relate to a circle. Shin Yi cuts, penetrates the circle to center. Bagua circles the circle, the perimeter, the 8 changing palms. Tai Chi is the center of the circle. All things come to Tai Chi. Tai Chi can yield, neutralize an issue with deadly force, or just let you go on your way unharmed. That's Tai Chi, the supreme ultimate. And the supreme ultimate fist is where the chew on comes, right? The chew on, the hand that is educated by the stick, and the stone in the rope is the hand that feeds the mouth. Okay, that's the hand that is more capable because it is the supreme and ultimate hand. And if I want to turn it into a fist, well, then I take pericardium 9 and I pin it into 8 and I go forever. Okay. These are basic concepts that when I went to Chinese medical school, I was able to get the medicinal angle on the martial, because on a battlefield, when you're guts are wide open. What are we going to call that? That's a liver. Oh, okay. That's important because that one's bleeding out and he's not here anymore. Okay. The medicine and the martial are inextricably linked. And isn't it interesting that pericardium 8 in the center of the palm, the modern point 8 is a little closer to the thumb, and the ancient classical point 8 is in the center of the palm. I found the first English translation of the first French translation going and coming out of China. Used bookstores is where I got a lot of my knowledge from, books that you can't buy, right? They're not on Amazon. You can't find them any other way than the used bookstore. So,
man, used bookstores are always a treasure hunt.
Well,
you never know what you're going to find.
Especially the one that has a section and sections on this kind of stuff.
Well, you are revealing your age here. Because,
yes, I am. That is true.
Because there is something about walking into a used bookstore. There's an energy. It's like you put yourself into a field of receptivity. Stuff will jump off the shelf at you.
There's a smell of all those pages that are seeping the odor, right? And when you open the book, right, it plumes out. And the best one that I ever been to, it no longer exists because, I've dated myself on used bookstores. The rent is
you and
too
me,
much.
Brother.
Yeah, the rent is too much.
Yeah.
I know I put out a lot. Yeah, I know I put out a lot, but now we can sort of retrace and drill in, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. No, we get to go all over the place. This is the fun of doing a long-form conversation. We just get to wind this thing around to wherever it wants to go. I trust the conversation in a podcast like you trust the rope to tell you where you are, how you are, and what you need.
Where I am, when I am. That gravity gives us where, and it gives us when.
Yeah, it's relentless, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And heaven, man, earth. The Eastern anatomy, hands up, because you're connecting heaven to earth. What's the inside? The thumb is on the inside. Very clear when your hands are overhead. Now, if the table ain't long enough to lay the stiff on it, well, then you put the hands down in Western anatomical. Where's the thumb? Well, it looks like it's on the outside, but where is it? It's on the inside. So the Eastern is less removed from the living objective, which is to unite and fight with the gravity to send beautiful pitches down to the ground that your nervous system can just hit home runs on every step. It feels amazing, right? Because you're resolved. You're resolved. All this meditation in an imbalanced body, good luck. You didn't tune the guitar. What kind of music you going to play, right? Yeah. That's the reality. Is balance is where it is, when it is.
You said something at the very beginning. You put threat and opportunity together. You put sympathetic and parasympathetic together. You put fight and flight, not as these opposite opposing forces, but as an integrated whole.
You can't fight without flight, and flight is objective. It can be sympathetic and it can be totally relaxed. Like there's fight and flight is what it is. And like you said, gravity's relentless. How are you going to fight the fight? And it turns out that punching up doesn't work. There's nothing to hit. So what you got to do is you got to understand it goes down. Then it comes up. The yang meridians come down. The yin meridians come up. You want that bubbling well of substantial yin to come up and house the whole thing. And don't light a fire too hot with the liver like me, because you may spin out. Okay.
Well, we just keep needing to add a little water to you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I boil it off. I'll tell you what, I came into this world with a 5x factor in terms of my consumption of stuff. So food and liquid. As a baby, it was 5 times more. As a high schooler, it was 5 times more. So if there's a family event, there's either 2 turkeys because I'm coming, or 1 turkey because I'm not. And it's always been that. 2 gallons of milk was low on milk. My parents bought another fridge back in the day when people didn't buy another fridge. So that was always my consumptive, just in the materials to stay alive. But I think my brain must burn maybe not 5 times calories, but probably at least twice or 3 or 4. So it's just nature. And then the nurture, let the nature flourish. So I was raised in an environment with, highly educated parents. And so I became highly educated.
What did your folks do?
My mother was a mother, and my father was the president of an international engineering firm that, did the environmental studies principally for bridges, highways, launch pads, what have you.
Launch pads.
Seriously, they did the MX missile way back when. They said, all right, well, here's where to build it. Here's how to build it. There's no archaeological significance underneath it, so go for it.
Yeah.
That's what his company did.
You just said launch pad.
Yes.
And I want to bring this back to the flow rope because it really feels like a kind of a launch pad. And I've been doing a course. I just bought a course from one of your students, Edward.
Edward Troyes. That is one of the best.
Troyes.
That's one of the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I began it at the beginning because, it's helpful to make sure that you got your fundamentals down. And one of the things that he talks about, and Chinese medicine people are going to get this instantly as soon as I say it, but one of the things he talks about is how you use your feet, how you attend to your feet. You don't just stand on them like a couple of flippers. You attend to the outside portion, gallbladder channel, basically gallbladder 41 and 42-ish. You put your attention there, your whole body engages, and I've done this.
Yep.
Right, with that dang rope.
Right.
I put my attention there. I can feel my gallbladder channel activate. I can feel the sinews, the entire side of the body wind itself up. And then I start swinging the rope. That rope makes a noise that it otherwise wouldn't. And all I have to do, David, is attend to that point on my feet. It's ridiculous.
Okay, great. Yeah. And let me jump in. So that's the 4th toe, okay? Your body's going to ring and resonate when you know how to take it from the 4th finger to the 4th toe, and that's when we'll send it up the big toe, back to the liver, and now run it again, right? Take a breath. And that gallbladder 31 is such a key point, or gallbladder 30 or 31. What's the one in the dimple? Sort of the peripheral, that side dimple of the glute.
Gallbladder 30, right there by the trochanter.
Gallbladder 30, yeah, and it corresponds with stomach 30 on the internal. So the external torsion of the coil is gallbladder 30, driving in and up. See how people can't see, but my shoulders just went from horizontal to about 45, and I'm bringing my hip up and forward and my shoulder down and back. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to take pericardium 8 in the right hand, pericardium 8 in the left hand, integrate them 100% integrated instantaneously with the rope, figure 8s. The infinite object in motion stays in motion. When the fly lands on the body, it sets everything into motion. You can move the world with the correct lever. And the interesting thing about rope flow is you're the center of this storm. You're the protons and the neutrons to the electrons flying around. And what it does is it's not training you outward, where less than an order of magnitude is the limit. If you can lift 100 pounds, you're never going to lift 1,000, right? So you will never get incrementally better on an exponential level. But when you go internal, and internal, the ultimate internal just means people can't see it from the outside. You're super, super capable, and nobody can see it. You're so good. You've brought it down so small to the center. And the meridians, I used to do a meditation where I used apps that traced the meridians, and I edited them, I sequenced them, set them at the right speed, and then I went through my meridian meditation, and it just happens to be 100% consistent with a Western approach to fight, flight, response ability, the foundation of which you will find whether you go yin yang or quantum mechanics. I don't know if it's here or there. You look through your left eye, you look through your right eye. It's not in the same place. You got to trigonomically figure that out where you're going to hit the bird with the stone or the antelope with the spear. The vessel is yin and yang, right? The vessel and the totality of it. It's too complex. And if we try to mechanistically understand each individual little tiny part, nothing wrong with it. Maybe you'll come to something profound, but it sure as shit ain't going to help you move better. Okay? It's not going to help you find balance in your body. In fact, you're probably a pencil neck geek who is completely opposite of the scholars and the philosophers of old that began with a sound body that could kick ass and it didn't hurt every day. Okay? And that's the vessel for the mind that can shepherd our species forward, enhancing the human experience. And we've done a really good job, except for there's a lot of rough edges, and about 3.5 billion people right now are starving, okay? And the collective conscious has taken a hit. And the elite rulers of the United States and other portions around the world, they're doing a terrible job for our benefit, okay? It's all their benefit. And the way that we're going to conquer this is with the martial understanding of March all fight, flight, response ability. The first fight is gravity. The Weck method is a strategy for winning at life. And the first step is establish balance. The second step is maintain balance. The third step is never lose your physical balance when it's under your control. It's okay to slip on a banana peel, but wouldn't it be cool to trip but not fall, right? To look for solutions in those moments when everybody else is bracing for impact because they're scared. This is literally, I'm narcissistic, but I'm altruistic. And they don't cancel each other out. What they do is they go, bop, boom. And it's an implosive force that don't destroy nothing. This is, okay. I want to be the guy who restored physical integrity to humanity and created the foundation for smart people to be honest and make it a better place for my great, 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 great grandkids as I sit on the right-hand side of God, looking down, enjoying the stories to his glory. How's that?
This episode is brought to you by Jane, the clinic management software that honestly just makes running a practice easier. Let's dive into something that's never easy, but sometimes necessary: raising your fees. It can feel awkward, right? But here's a tip that can really help. Consider offering flexibility to your patients as you introduce the change. When patients face new fees, it's natural for them to feel uncertain or concerned. That's where flexibility can really make a difference. Offering options like a phased increase, suggesting a payment plan, or even taking a moment to talk things through can help to ease the transition. These thoughtful gestures show your patients that you're listening and care about them, which strengthens the trust you've worked so hard to build. If you're looking for more ideas on how to navigate these kinds of changes, head to frontdesk.jane.app and check out the article, How to Tell Clients You're Raising Your Fees. One last thing, if you're ready to give Jane a try, you can use the code Qiological for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. I like a big vision. I think big vision is helpful. And beyond a big helpful vision, some kind of practice, some kind of way of developing capacity to deal with whatever is happening in the moment. I really, again, I'm coming back to this. I may come back to it several times. The way that you have put fight and flight together, they're not opposite. They're not antagonistic. They're synergistic. Oh my gosh. Fight and flight is being synergistic. All right. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. I like to do my best to think in terms of yin and yang, but that's a tricky thing for a Westerner to do. It's a really tricky thing because I'm so used to duality, looking at the unity within duality. It's a great concept. Getting it in my bones, getting it in my experience, getting it in my behavior, getting it in my relationships. All right, that's a little more tricky. Now, I've heard and I have experienced with things like meditation or Tai Chi or some Qigong that, there is this physical component. It doesn't really have language attached to it. It has movement, it has feeling, it has a kind of communicative expression. So there's that. Again, I'm bringing this back to rope flow because, like you said, the rope will teach you. If you can begin with the basics and attend to it and stay with it, when you smack yourself in the side of the head with the rope, that means, Michael Max, pay attention. Like, what just happened? Oh, I had my hips over here instead over there. Oh, my hands were in this position, not that position. It for sure will speak to you. I want to say something back to you that I heard you say in a video that I watched of you. You did this little 5-minute, like, hey, join me for a 5-minute, quick rope flow workout. You just turned on the camera and, did your David Weck thing. All right. And here's what you said, man. I stopped in the middle of the thing. It's like, I'm backing that up. Like, let me hear that again. I had to back it up a few times. You said this. This is very Chinese medicine-y. This is why I reached out to you. You said this. The total control that this gives your body and, frankly, your mind, you gain tremendous confidence when you're a master of self, and the physical is the only accountable realm where mastery of self can be demonstrated to another.
We're going to transcribe that, and I'm going to explain that and unpack that to the world, because it ties in exactly to what you were just saying in terms of the rationale for doing so. In the very beginning is the tool is the teacher. Now, I'm going to say something that is not racist. It's just true. The Chinese culture is extremely mysterious, okay? The dialect and the inflection and the tone and the circumstance will determine the meaning of a particular letters, manipulation of wind, all right? Let's go back.
Trust me, it will get you into big trouble if you got your tones wrong.
Well, what it is there may be 500 different meanings if you go here and there. Who the hell knows? And the master is going to filter those who receive the transmission. You see, it's very special, the transmission. And you have to, as a student in that culture, you have to pray for the sincerity to receive the transmission. And one of the ways that I can test you is I can make you work for 20 years without teaching you a goddamn thing. All right? Then you have earned the right. And then I put a stick in your hand. And then I put a rope in your hand. And you extremely quickly absorb it. Within a year, you're able to receive the transmission because the teachers, you have laid the fertile soil of total devotion, total dedication, total presence to just an internal that hasn't been organized with the flow. I don't care if you're not in the mood to exercise, okay? Because you could take a rope And it's not first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. There's an infinite gearing. Doesn't matter. It will always meet you where you are because what you give to it is what it gives back. And it never, ever disobeys your instructions. And you ain't speaking to it. You're manipulating it, right? You're manipulating it. And if I want to flow perfect figure eights, I'm bullshitting myself if I don't have a teacher that ensures that I'm doing it for real all the way. Because balance that is denatured by imbalance is not balance, all right? And most people are nowhere even near to the launch pad, okay? They've got this faulty little structure laying on that's not rooted. It's going to be a foundation plank that just breaks. It's not on bedrock. Bedrock is your ability to breathe and balance your bones so that all of you can be focused on connecting heaven and earth in every form with the yin-yang balance, where you're a better partner, you're a better parent, you're better whatever. Now, you can choose where to direct this flow too, okay? I don't direct my flow to normal like most people because I have a different circumstance that allows me to just be me, unfiltered, and it's because I'm an altruist and a narcissist. I want to give free information, okay? Free. Nothing that can be translated to you in a manner that within 1 second you could avail yourself of the profound benefit of never taking another step in your life that is out of balance. And now millions of repetitions are aggregating this nutritive, generative force in the body. Your body is modeling tissue now, okay? It's happening, okay? The glottal stop of the ing and the e, ching. And we can get into the crazy stuff that I understand from these sounds and these words. And in the beginning, the word, yeah, it was with God. That's right. And guess what? The word was God. It's so important because if you know the correct words, then you know the correct postures and intents to maintain air and blood to your brain now. And if you don't have it for 4 minutes, there's a massive problem because what are we going to do with the dead body, right? So that cash flow of oxygen feeding the brain is what it is about. All right, that is what it is about because everything's contingent upon that combustion. You burn oxygen, that's right. You want to live longer, learn how to breathe half the air and the fire's only going to be half as hot. I don't care about that because me, it's quality, not quantity in my life. And I'm coming from a background where the nurture had no instruction. I had to find the rope. I had to find the stick, and nobody told me what to do with it.
So, David.
Yes, sir.
How did you find that rope?
I invented a cat toy called the Quick Hands Bola, and it was 2 foam balls connected by an elastic cord that I could send out away from me and boom, recoil it back at more than 110 miles an hour. I got really good at that. Standing in on 110 miles an hour, you can't see on the camera, but I'm like a boxer and I'm catching it right on the hair of my chinny chin, okay?
Okay, so this is a toy. I'm thinking of a toy that I had when I was
It's a training device.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of a toy.
Well, it's a cat toy.
It's a cat toy. Look, I love it. What are you playing with? I got a cat toy. When I was a kid, I had a paddle with an elastic.
Yes, with the rubber band. Yeah.
And a ball on the end. You go bong, 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 bong,
Yeah.
right? So this sounds a little bit like that.
That was balsa wood.
Yeah. Well, I think the one I had was pine. But
okay.
At any rate.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you had here, ball on an elastic.
Yes.
So very good at training your reflexes.
Yeah, very good at the reflexes. Yes.
But here's the thing. It's also on this elastic band, and so you're connected to it. It's not a ball in midair by itself.
Yes.
It's connected to you.
Yeah, well, and now the progression to rope flow. So that is why I invented this cat toy, the Quick Hands Bowler, was to catch it and move it around and manipulate it. Now, where it started to go to rope flow was the organization of figure eights, and I learned how to manipulate it as if it were a staff, because I found the timing where I could figure eight it. And the thing about that is, if you're going to keep on going with certain flow patterns, when you're manipulating from the center and the ends are free, if you want to do more than just spin it around, you got to change your hands and you got to let go. Okay. Same thing with the staff. So all that training led me to the staff, which the staff is, it's less forgiving for mistakes. You might break your new TV if you're inside and it sort of scoots out from your hands. And you might hit yourself and it's less forgiving, right? There's going to be, it's going to bruise. And again, you're in the middle and you're changing hands, right? You can hold it like a sword where you don't change your hands, but you're not now peripheral distal. Now, when I found the rope, here's what happened. I had years of this figure eighting that had never been real-time connected the way the rope does it. I go to New York City and I'm presenting at a conference and I meet a man named Buddy Lee. He was, in the military, decorated Olympic wrestler, and he's one of the best jump ropers in the world. And I watched him perform and I just looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, like if you can do that, you can do anything. And I'm just going to learn how to do that. And I'm going to learn how to do that very rapidly without getting tired and beaten up by removing the jump. And it was a discipline, because if you have a jump rope, which I did, well, it's tempting to jump through it once. So I made a rule that said you're not allowed to jump through it. And if you try to jump through it just by happenstance, you're going to catch it with the sole of your foot, with the heel on the ground, because you're not going through this rope once. Because why? Because it's a weapon. And I'm going to weaponize my body with the tool where David slay Goliath.
So I want to come back to this thing about balance and balancing your bones and having this platform that allows you really to live your best life, because you have the capacity to integrate seeming opposites. Look, you very clearly and honestly say, yeah, I'm a narcissist, but I'm also an altruist. It's like, wow, look at that. That's a powerful insight. It's a good thing to know about yourself.
Know thyself and be honest. Know thyself and be honest. Listen.
It's good to know what powers you. I want to come back to something very basic, because look, I'm just starting with this thing, and here's the other thing. I'm not super bright, but I really think that the basics, if you can really grasp the basics, man, basics will take you a long, long way. Figure eights. I've heard you mention figure eights a number of times here. And you keep mentioning it like it's some kind of magic. Like it's like, hey kids, here's the secret. Figure eights. What's up with figure eights?
The Western anatomical rationale, understanding, explanation is basically the right and left hemispheres of your brains. Okay, the left and the right. You also have upper and lower, right? Brains, not just one. The motor sensory hemispheres, the cortexes of motor sensory, they reside right in the middle, and it's a big top to bottom 2 strips of real estate that allows you to experience and then do. And when you do figure eights that are integrated, 2 tin cans, and you can hear every little vibration when the string is coherent, okay? And that connection takes your motor sensory cortices on a ride where all you have to do is symmetrical figure eights. And now your motor sensory cortices are saying to your cerebellum, dude, I'm going to teach you the basics that you're going to know where you are, when you are, with every molecule of your body, fully integrated, moving together harmonically without the internal stress, the noise, the compensatory tension that is killing you slowly, right? It's burdening you. You're not in as good a mood. You don't sleep as well because you're not even relaxing then. The figure eight is how you achieve the BOSU high performance state. It's the BOSU flow state. And the BOSU is the both sides utilized because it's the yin and the yang. And why is it that? Because I went to Chinese medical school and I learned all about it. And it fit the bill as the foundation.
What I think you're saying is this figure eight motion, which is really interesting because look, when you do this with your hands, right, where are all the source point acupuncture points? They're in your wrist, right? I remember my teacher in Beijing, Wang Jui, he'd always say, yeah, like work your wrists and keep your wrists supple and move your wrists because that will open and keep the source points open and flowing, right? So you
and
do this.
Wing Chun, you have in
Yeah.
the Wing Chun, you have the Si Lim Tao, which is called the little idea, and the root of it is this projecting the hand out to center line, and then going this wrist manipulation. That is how you build tendon strength. You can't build tendon strength better than your own body weight torsioned with intent, where range of motion will end, but the intent never does.
And this is where I think the rope
Yes.
is a little bit magical because it takes you to your full ranges of motion. You're tensioning your own tendons. You're taking your wrist through incredible ranges of motion.
Coordinated ranges of motion. Coordinated. Right?
And you're syncing your right and left brains. So you're getting your yin and yang going. You're getting your body and your mind connected.
Yes.
So this thing with using the hands and attending to the feet and coiling and uncoiling the body, this seems to build incredible balance and strength.
It is the modality for the moment. They based everything on imbalanced locomotion because they said you had to keep your spine stiff as a rod, can't side bend, can't flex, can't extend, can't do anything if you want to be athletic because you need to brace your core, to harness your hips and shoulders. So when you run, you need to squeeze yourself stiff. And the number one exercise is a Palloff press, where I take myself, I freeze and squeeze in no man's land. Tai Chi, never 50-50. It's the first thing that you learn. Okay, even the opening sequence is not 50-50. And the understanding is that you are not 50-50, so don't seek perfect 50-50. It's a knife and a fork if you want to eat it, okay? It's not two knives and it's not two forks. It's a knife and a fork. One side assists the other side because they are not equal. Some of us have a better left. Some of us have a better right.
Having a thriving, profitable practice is one of the most healing things you can do as a healthcare practitioner. Because a robust business is the ultimate expression of vital chi. And that's the heart of our medicine. I'm Julie Bairdontlock, and I help practitioners grow nourishing, profitable, authentic businesses that embody the generative cycle of Chinese medicine. This isn't about all yang all the time. It's about expanding your own internal capacity, growing collaborative relationships with your patients for ethical patient retention, and marketing as an extension of this medicine, not a necessary evil. You already know that everything is connected in your patients' lives and bodies. The same is true for your business. When we align your systems, your schedule, your pricing, and your offerings with you, we create flow, which means more spaciousness, more impact, and more joy. When you are in the flow, Fully resourced in terms of chi, time, and money, your business becomes a source of healing, not just for your patients, but for you. Let's grow something rooted, radiant, and real. Visit lifeflowconsulting.com to learn more.
So what I think I hear you saying
Yep.
is our body is the vehicle. I'm coming back to this again from something that you'd said earlier, that our body is the vehicle.
The entity
It is,
the entity resides in the body, resolved or not.
and when we work with the rope, and the rope works on us,
In us.
works in us, so then our balance gets better. I can tell you this, I'm still working on my balance, but I know this for sure, especially after working on doing the cheetah tail, which has been troublesome. I did not realize how much my shoulders were immobilized until I started doing the cheetah tail. And I'm telling you, I like whack myself upside the head. It's ridiculous. But here's the thing. After doing that and well, I'm still working on it, but in particular, after working on sneaks, I've got an old car and it doesn't have the backup camera. So I've got to turn my head around to see where I'm going. Now, I'm in my 60s. I'm a little older than you. I'm in my 60s. I don't quite have the mobility that I used to have. But after doing some of this rope stuff, the other day, I'm like backing up the car, and I just crank my head around like I'm a 22-year-old. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that my neck? Where did that come from?
That came from the integrated articulation of your spine.
So I want to get into this thing about articulated spine, because you were mentioning earlier how so often in a lot of the fitness industry, it's about holding things stiff or immobilizing things so you can work on one thing, but not work on the entire thing, right? There's all these machines in gyms where you isolate, and only work on one piece. You're talking about a kind of integration here that focuses, I'm going to say, less on strength and more on power. Do I have that right?
I like the way that you phrase that, because that is the net output of it. So, first of all, if your theory of exercise and movement training is that your job is to, take every little facet in your spine and immobilize it so that you're stronger, right? And like you say, that your core muscles are for the purposes of stopping, preventing the movement of your spine. How the hell are you going to get the salt shaker on the diner table behind you? Well, Jesus, I got to get up because all I can turn is my neck. What you want is the coordinated integration of every facet doing its little, 0.5%. So that all the way up, you get all the way around, and there was no stress on any one particular joint in your entire body. There was no hot spot, because everybody, imagine that you got somebody a chain or a necklace and there's a kink on one spot, and then you tried to, I don't know, that's the weak link where the thing's gonna fail. This is so basic. When I decided to study martial art, the martial science dictates that if you're smaller and weaker and slower, well, then your only option is soft and intermittent hard. And when you roll a rope and your opponent has not rolled a rope, the sticks that you have, you're a stick fighter. And they'll be overwhelmed because they don't even know. They can't respond. They can only react. And just like balance, it's not the first one that gets you. It's your compensation that's not coordinated, that the first thing wouldn't have thrown you off.
Okay. I just want to step in here.
Yeah, please.
Because on one hand, we can talk about fighting, right? Very like fisticuffs. Maybe that first punch doesn't take you out, but your compensation, has the second, leaves you open to the second one taking you out.
Well, strength and power.
So
Yeah.
hang on a second.
Yep.
So we have that on a physical level. I want to go to the psychoemotive level for a moment because, look, we're living in a time, most of us aren't doing fisticuffs, but we are very involved psychoemotively with, I would say, increasingly deregulated nervous systems, having fights on Instagram or Twitter, whatever, right? Or people are very into their identities these days, and they'll take their identities out and fight with each other. It seems to me that a lot of the conflict these days, it's not necessarily fist to fist, body to body, but in a sense like spirit to spirit, or mental projection to mental projection. Help me understand how integrating my body with this rope will help me be a kinder person, like, mankind.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think I've also seen on a t-shirt of yours.
So, all right, okay. So let's go back to basics, all right? Everybody's fighting online, and it's so easy to fight online. And once somebody picks a fight, I fight back. I can't ignore it. It's not good for my business to ignore it because I got guys trying to destroy my livelihood, crapping on my stuff, telling the marketplace with scientific authority that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm the charlatan. So listen, everybody's fighting. Now, we've been neutered physically. You're not allowed to do anything. No, kids should be playing on playgrounds. They should be doing wrestling. They should be doing jiu-jitsu. We should be doing massage. You think when the machine's doing everything, massage will probably be better when a person's doing it rather than C3PO, right? It's just...
Well, as long as that person has some skill and capacity and attentiveness, the way that you're talking earlier, if you work with an integrated system, you can help another system to integrate. But if you're dysregulated yourself, I'm not sure I'd want a massage therapist who's dysregulated working on me.
Oh, of course. Well, the good news is the massage therapist who's not well regulated because they're not physically balanced will matriculate out in 2 years because they can't offload all the crap that went into them. You need root. Because root roots out the bullshit in your body. In physical, there is no bullshit. This is why physical interaction, if the lion cubs don't wrestle around and sort of, metaphorically, sort of battle it out, bare their teeth and learn how to pressurize appropriately. So if we're human beings and now we're so extreme that we don't play anymore physically. When's the last time a kid climbed a tree? I mean, you know what I mean? I can count it on how many fingers. It's preposterous. Physical integrity is it is the most practical, pragmatic, and it's going to be effective. You trust me, and it's going to be effective because you have root. You know how to interact with another human being. You have a tranquil this is the perfect podcast because your tranquility it's the yin to my yang, and I'm able to riff with you. Okay. I'm able to go fast because the flow of someone who can catch the ball as I serve it in.
David, you're serving it in fast, but you know what? I like a good game. I like working at the edge of my capacity. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes, but it's really fun when stuff comes together. I want to bring this back to the rope for a moment because it's mainly it's the focus of this conversation, but it's also become such an interesting practice for me. Sometimes I need to go do some work, or I'm getting ready for clinic, or I write a lot. So these days, before I sit down to write, I will just grab the rope. I'll spend 5 minutes. I'll do some underhand matadors. I'll do a little dragon roll. I'm still working on the underhand sneak. Man, the underhand sneak is making me crazy right now because I watch you do it. I watch other people do it online, and I look at it and I go, that is so flippin' simple. It's kind of like the dragon roll with just a slight twist. But I got to tell you, brother, it's an elusive fucker. I have not.
Yes, it is. That it's the most elusive of it. It's almost a treat and a reward and a magical opportunity if it is a struggle to get, because those who are facile with it initially will sometimes have that grasshopper effect where that's as far as they're going to go. And then the tortoise is going to pass them and lay in reps that you're just ahead of the guy who was better than you. And that's what's so powerful about this. Now, you brought up something interesting, that the sneak is like the dragon with a twist. And where is the twist but in the wrist? So the dragon will supinate and the sneak will pronate. And the supinate will externally torsion the core, and the pronation will internally torsion the core. And the capacity to sneak is how you can run away from the coyotes and still stab them behind you, because you've learned how to articulate and coil your core to run on the same side stride that lets you go very fast away and face the force and get right to the point. If you come back to it, motivation is in the stomach. Okay, that's where the enduring motivation is.
Hang on a second. Motivation is in the stomach.
It's the only yang meridian that goes down the front.
I know. It's pretty interesting that way. But just thinking about motivation is in the stomach. Look, how do we say it? What do we say? I guess is a better way to say it. What do we say when we really want something, right? We really desire it. We are hungry for it, right? So there's that. This thing about the sneak and it being the motion of both running and at the same time turning around and stabbing. Okay, I can see it. I get it. It also comes back to what you're talking, again, very beginning of this conversation, David. The ability to take threat and opportunity at the same moment, integrate them, and do what you need to do. Now, again, it could be running from a coyote and stabbing at the same time. It could be how we interact with people online. It can be how we interact with our partner, our children, our patients. The person down the street who's, got some kind of sign in their yard that we disagree with, right? Bringing together this kind of yin and yang, finding that flow. There's another thing that you talk about a lot, and you talk about race and chase.
Yeah, and that basically what that is yin and yang and the hands. If I make one, I'm going to race and the other one will keep up with me. Because now what happens on a race and chase, if the race and chase is how you get the articulation of the wrist to be optimized, because you're racing and chasing. So the wrists have to roll with a calm, collected, smooth urgency, because smooth is fast. So a race and chase, what happens on a race and chase is you learn how to do it with your body's weight, not your arms. Your arms are the peripheral. That's guiding, right. Like the perfect expression. So the force goes into the rope and that resolves to the ground and it's fluid inside you. You have a tensional balance with no hot spots. Nothing's getting unproportionately tired. Okay, it's not like, oh, my thighs are burning, I have to stop. Everything's working together and it's pumping and it's moving and it's not restricting. So the oxygen's getting capillary. It's like
my experience with the rope so far, and again, I'm just beginning this thing and I'm loving it too. So first of all, thanks for doing it. It's been a blast. I look forward to the future of it. A lot of it for me, and it's probably just my misunderstanding, it feels very upper body. And I feel like the lower portion of my body, my hips are definitely getting into it. I mean, one of the things that's amazing, dragon rolls in particular, man, you snap those hips around, woo, that rope will fly. My hips are involved, but I feel like the lower part of my body, my knees in particular, my thighs, I don't feel like I'm getting that much motion into them. But everything that you're telling me
Okay,
about the
so
rope and everything that I
yeah.
actually watch online, it looks like there's motion getting in there, but I don't feel like I'm getting it in my body. What can I do with the rope to like get everything from, I was going to say the bottom of my feet, but maybe I just answered the question. Maybe if I just pay more attention to that gallbladder 41, that would help. What else can I do?
Yeah, okay, yes. Okay, so this brings up one of the most important points of understanding is that typically a trainer today will tell people that it comes from the ground up. And that's beginning the story on page 2 or the second sentence, because first it goes down and then it goes up. All right, so that's like fundamental. Okay. So that is that's the reality that we have to understand. And then what you do, and this is the logical extension of it, what you do with your feet is irrelevant and insignificant if the upper body's not correctly integrated with the feet to even have a chance at rooting to the ground. So what happens with the rope, especially the sneak, okay, the sneak is sort of the one that, I should say the underhand sneak in particular, because overhand patterns, which you're probably doing because they're sort of more familiar, right? Overhand patterns, they are sort of this horizontal where you're learning how to project your force out and then create a recoil with your tendons and fascia that boom, that moves your entire mass very fluidly without effort. Now, the underhand patterns correspond to the vertical. So the underhand pattern is what you want to focus on now. And what you want to focus on is like it's an uppercut that you can feel your skeleton now go boom. And if there were a scale, that thing's going to spike boom when you get to that moment where you can spike it because you got the integrity through the bones. And now, range of motion is a different thing. Like if you want to bend your knee all the way, calf to hamstring, you're not going to do that when you're doing the rope so much unless you set up a situation where you're doing that. So it's about the integration that's meant to enhance your capacity to acquire new skills more rapidly, more thoroughly, and deeper, and to go as deep as you can into whichever it is you're going to specialize in. And the experience is once you sort of get the rope, and I have a feeling if it were in-person instruction in less than an hour, you'd be on first base, meaning you can keep running around and score runs with just like certain personal instruction. And I would also say that, sort of the Jungian collective conscious, subconscious, unconscious, whatever, collective conscious, if everybody's learning it, because the cool kids in the class and the world's best athletes need it. If it's an advantage, it's a necessity. That's the way sports work. Now, imagine a sperm and an egg that have not yet met. And 5 years from now, the kid's 4. And he's like seeing it. And it's normalized. If there's a jump rope laying on the ground and it's 8 feet, a kid is going to pick it up, and the first thing they do is they're going to try to jump it.
Well, you could jump it, but again, I remember being a kid and just picking up a rope and swinging the damn thing around, like a lasso, like a cowboy, right? So there's that as well. The thing that you just said about first it goes down before it goes up, that's helpful.
Yes.
And as a Chinese medicine practitioner, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. So thanks for that. I want to ask you one more question, and then I've got to go see some patients. Again, David, The first time I watched this on the internet, somebody working with a flow rope, I'm like, that is gong fu on steroids. That's like gong fu plus playfulness plus something that I don't know what it is, but I want to go find out. But within that first experience of watching people do this, I could not help but notice, oh, look, there's your lung meridian. Oh, that lung meridian is being stretched. Oh, there's the the gallbladder gets a hell of a workout with this. I mean, if you're frustrated and angry and your gallbladder's tied in a knot, rope flow, baby. It's better than Xiao Yao San. Okay? It's crazy. I can see with the rope, every single meridian has an opportunity to be stretched, compressed, squeezed, wrung, and released. Do I have that right, or am I just making it up because I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner?
Well, it's a pattern recognition, and I remember my first day, seeing the meridian map on the body, and just what it is sort of the ancient Chinese secret, is the ancient root, that which we must cultivate so that we can pass on the transmission.
Well, here's the thing, brother. It's also the challenge. It's not just the problem. It's the challenge. And you know what? You know this from working with the body. How does the body get better? Through challenge. This is how we get better. So back to what you said in the beginning, threat and opportunity.
Let me just say, yes, because it's the appropriate challenge. Everything has a border and a boundary, and that's how God created different things, right? There is a limitation that defines the thing. And without the limit, it's the Tao, and the Tao that is spoken is not the Tao, it's a how. Are you going to figure it out now?
Well, I got to tell you, this thing that you created and that you shared with the world, and that a lot of other people are now sharing with the world, this rope thing, it's a thing, and it's been great. And I want to thank you, because it's a hell of a lot of fun, and my neck turns better. And I've also begun to, especially people with shoulder problems, I'm teaching them some very simple overhead mills. And you know what? It helps. It's not that hard to do. People can figure it out. And it dramatically, like you were saying, immobilizes your spine, you mobilize your joints, it moves through the fascia, and it's good for the spirit.
And I know you got to run, but it's basically what it is not a compressive exercise. There's a centrifugal force that's outward that you're constantly pulling in. So you're getting expansive exercise, because what its intended objective is the strength, the balance, and the power to enhance the human experience. We bring it back to the rope.
Well, I'm glad you do, and I appreciate you taking some time today to hang out with me.
See you later. All right, bye-bye.
Well, that was a wild ride through the world of rope flow. I appreciated David's insights into how physiology and movement at one level help us to run from danger, or for that matter, towards dinner, but also how our neurology and spirit are interconnected with the body. That training our body is not just about exercising muscles, but also about mobilizing the spine and enhancing the body's natural fluidity. The figure eights that are so integral to rope flow, it's not just integrating left and right brain function. These movements improve neurology and proprioception, helping us to feel more connected to our bodies and the world around us. I enjoyed David's playful and yet profound approach to training, reminding us that curiosity and imagination are as important as strength and technique, and appreciative of how his initial inquiry of training with a rope without jumping through it has led to a worldwide phenomena that's playful, strengthening, and restorative. And I can tell you from personal experience, if you've got tight shoulders and limited movement with your neck, A series of one-handed mills and behind-the-back chi details can open things up in a surprisingly fun way. Well, here we are at the end of this episode. If you've listened up to this point, you're either a rabid fan of Qiological or the forward button on your podcast player stopped working. If you are indeed a fan of the podcast, you can help us to bring new episodes to our community of practitioners by supporting us with a membership or a one-time contribution. Details, of course, are on the website. That's it for today, friends. Join us again next Tuesday for another thoughtful episode of Qiological.